When climate change meets public policy, things turn binary real fast. We either see meaningful attempts to change behavior, as with the EU's deforestation law, which mandates extensive due diligence on the value chain for all operators and traders dealing with specific products derived from cattle, cocoa, coffee, oil palm, rubber, soya, and wood. Or we meet those with an almost messianic belief in their own ignorance. Their convictions and inability to differentiate between fact and opinion seriously threaten our species' survival. Let's tackle that last point head on. In the discussions around climate change, we are talking about something other than just saving the planet. Let's disabuse ourselves of this notion. The Earth will continue to exist for at least another 7.5 billion years, at which point our sun is believed to expand and envelop the inner solar system. We are talking about how long our planet will sustain human life. That is the timeline that we are actively shortening. I never thought I would say this, but we should take a page out of Paul Verhoeven's 1997 classic Starship Troopers.
We're in this for the species, boys and girls. It's simple numbers.
Since the dawn of the internet, the Darwin Awards have been held annually. The web-based awards recognize nominees who improve the gene pool by eliminating themselves from it in a spectacularly stupid way. Here's a typical example of a winner. In 1997, police in Reston, Virginia issued a statement saying they had found the body of 22-year-old Eric Barsha, who had apparently died attempting to bungee jump off a 70-foot bridge. Eschewing commercial bungee operations, Eric had apparently taken matters into his own hands and tied several bungee cords together. He strapped himself on securely, tied the other end to the bridge, and jumped, confident in the knowledge that he'd carefully measured out the bungee's total length, just under 70 feet. Of course, Eric had forgotten that bungee cords are known to stretch. I'm sure you can see where he went wrong. Suppose the Darwin Awards are examples of folks raising humanity's collective IQ because they are taking the score-dragging dumbasses out of the calculation. How do we recognize the politicians and influencers using their stupidity and willful ignorance to push us closer to extinction? Certainly not Armageddon. Too many of them are looking forward to that, and the guys with the Mayan calendars have already taken doomsday. So, how do we recognize those intent on dragging the rest of us off the cliff with them? And which folks would we remember doing the most to shorten our species' time on the planet? Former Republican Senator Jim Inhofe made many strange points to deny human-made climate change. Why wouldn't he? As the former chair of the Senate's Environment Committee, he would understand the situation well. Here are some of his entries into the competition to push us into oblivion.
God's still up there. And this is the arrogance of people who think that we, human beings, would be able to change what he is doing in the climate is, to me, outrageous.
Of course, if you can't trust the Almighty, then at least you have your own opinion on the secret plot the Hollywood elites have with big weather.
Those individuals from the far left, and I'm talking about the Hollywood elitists and the United Nations, and those individuals want us to believe it's because we are contributing CO2 to the atmosphere that's causing global warming. It's all about money. I mean, what would happen to the Weather Channel's ratings if all of a sudden people weren't scared anymore?
I never thought big weather would be the death of us. I guess the heat waves and polar vortexes are the only reason to check the Weather Channel. Still, the guy who brought a snowball in a bag onto the floor of the Senate to decry global warming claims because snow exists, that undoubtedly global warming can't be real. How could he be wrong? He sounds like a sane and rational man to us. It's not like it's arguably the most critical issue facing humanity. There are those who recognize their lack of qualification, but then, strangely enough, seem to know more than the scientists that warn them about what the data shows. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, for example. I'm not a scientist. I'm interested in protecting Kentucky's economy. I'm interested in having low-cost electricity. Arguably, if you're going to reach a conclusion while remaining deliberately ignorant of the consequences, perhaps you should educate yourself on the issues. Former House Speaker John Boehner took a similar approach.
Well, listen, I'm not qualified to debate the science over climate change. But I am astute enough to understand that every proposal that has come out of this administration to deal with climate change involves hurting our economy and killing American jobs.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Not qualified in the science of climate change, and not very good at predicting the future either, as the green economy is one of the fastest growing sectors, creating more well-paid jobs than ever before. Perhaps the problem isn't human-made climate change, but the humans seeking to reduce the impact of climate change. Meet Representative Fred Upton, who left Congress this year having represented Michigan for 36 years. He proposed legislation to amend the Clean Air Act to prohibit the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency from promulgating any regulation concerning, taking action relating to, or taking into consideration the emission of a greenhouse gas to address climate change and for other purposes. Now that is an innovative approach. Protect the environment by stopping the people protecting the environment from protecting the environment. That is some next-level three-dimensional chess to outwit the environment. We agree, bamboozle Mother Nature, and in her confusion, she'll cool down the planet. There are also those who hold a more nihilistic view and have sought to educate themselves on deep history rather than climate science. Take Senator Rand Paul, for example.
The Earth is 4.54, 4.6 billion years old. Anybody who's ever studied any geology knows that over periods of time, long periods of time, that the climate changes, okay? I'm not sure anybody exactly knows why, but we have 20, 30, 100,000 year sort of cycles that go on with the climate. It has been much warmer than it is today.
Senator Paul is, of course, missing the critical point. The discussion on climate change is not about saving the physical Earth, but preserving an atmosphere and environment fit for human existence. Homo sapiens first appeared some 200,000 years ago. As a species, we evolved to live in certain environmental conditions, and we are changing those environmental conditions faster than we can evolve to cope. The same can be said for the vast majority of wildlife left on this planet. There have been periods in Earth's deep history when it was warmer, colder, had no oxygen, and had no life on land, but our species would not survive very well in any of those conditions. Unless something is done to get the nonsense of climate change denial, in all its forms, out of the political discussion, all of humanity will find that our collective bungee rope is just a few feet too long. There is a debate to be had about climate change, but that debate is about which actions we can prioritize to combat its effects, not about a Weather Channel-led conspiracy. If someone wants to end themselves through their stupidity, that is their right, and they might even get a Darwin Award. But they don't have the right to end everyone else through that stupidity. There is no prize, no award, no recognition for actions that reckless, just repercussions.